Chapters 1 through 5 of the second book of the Kings, from the Young's Literal Translation of the Bible. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapter 1. And Moab transgresseth against Israel after the death of Ahab. And Ahaziah falleth through the lattice in his upper chamber that is in Samaria, and is sick, and sendeth messengers, and saith unto them,
Go ye, inquire of Baal-zebub, god of Ekron, if I recover from this sickness.
And a messenger of Jehovah hath spoken unto Elijah the Tishbite,
Rise, go out to meet the messengers of the king of Samaria, and speak unto them. Is it because there is not a God in Israel, ye are going to inquire of Baal-zebub, god of Ekron? And therefore, thus said Jehovah, The bed whither thou hast gone up, thou dost not come down from it, for thou dost certainly die.
And Elijah goeth on. And the messengers turn back unto him, and he saith unto them,
What is this? Ye have turned back.
And they say unto him, A man hath come up to meet us, and saith unto us, Go, turn back unto the king who sent you, and ye have said unto him, Thus said Jehovah, Is it because there is not a God in Israel, thou art sending to inquire of Baal-zebub, god of Ekron? Therefore, the bed whither thou hast gone up, thou dost not come down from it, for thou dost certainly die. And he saith unto them,
What is the fashion of the man who hath come up to meet you, and speaketh unto you these words?
And they say unto him, A man, hairy, and a girdle of skin girt about his loins. And he saith,
He is Elijah the Tishbite.
And he sendeth unto him a head of 50, and his 50, and he goeth up unto him. And lo, he is sitting on the top of the hill. And he speaketh unto him,
O man of God, the king hath spoken, come down.
And Elijah answereth and speaketh unto the head of the 50, And if I am a man of God, fire doth come down from the heavens, and consume thee and thy 50. And fire cometh down from the heavens, and consumeth him and his 50. And he turneth and sendeth unto him another head of 50, and his 50. And he answereth and speaketh unto him,
O man of God, thus said the king, Haste, come down.
And Elijah answereth and speaketh unto them, If I am a man of God, fire doth come down from the heavens, and consume thee and thy 50. And fire of God cometh down from the heavens, and consumeth him and his 50. And he turneth and sendeth a third head of 50, and his 50. And the third head of 50 goeth up, and cometh in, and boweth on his knees over against Elijah, and maketh supplication unto him, and speaketh unto him, O man of God, let be precious, I pray thee, my soul and the soul of thy servants, these 50, in thine eyes. Lo, come down hath fire from the heavens, and consumeth the 2 heads of the former 50s and their 50s. And now let my soul be precious in thine eyes. And a messenger of Jehovah speaketh unto Elijah, Go down with him, be not afraid of him. And he riseth and goeth down with him unto the king, and speaketh unto him, Thus said Jehovah, Because that thou hast sent messengers to inquire of Baal-zebub, god of Ekron, is it because there is not a God in Israel to inquire of his word? Therefore, the bed whither thou hast gone up, thou dost not come down from it, for thou dost certainly die. And he dieth, according to the word of Jehovah that Elijah spake. And Jehoram reigneth in his stead, in the 2nd year of Jehoram, son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, for he had no son. And the rest of the matters of Ahaziah that he did, are they not written on the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? Chapter 2. And it cometh to pass, at Jehovah's taking up Elijah in a whirlwind to the heavens, that Elijah goeth, and Elisha, from Gilgal. And Elijah saith unto Elisha, Abide, I pray thee, here, for Jehovah hath sent me unto Bethel. And Elisha saith,
Jehovah liveth, and thy soul liveth, if I leave thee.
And they go down to Bethel. And sons of the prophets who are in Bethel come out unto Elisha, and say unto him, Hast thou known that today Jehovah is taking thy Lord from thy head? And he saith, I also have known. Keep silent. And Elijah saith to him, Elisha, abide, I pray thee, here, for Jehovah hath sent me to Jericho. And he saith, Jehovah liveth, and thy soul liveth, if I leave thee. And they come in to Jericho. And sons of the prophets who are in Jericho come nigh unto Elisha, and say unto him, Hast thou known that today Jehovah is taking thy Lord from thy head? And he saith, I also have known. Keep silent. And Elijah saith to him, Abide, I pray thee, here, for Jehovah hath sent me to the Jordan. And he saith, Jehovah liveth, and thy soul liveth, if I leave thee. And they go on, both of them. And 50 men of the sons of the prophets have gone on, and stand over against afar off. And both of them have stood by the Jordan. And Elijah taketh his robe, and wrappeth it together, and smiteth the waters, and they are halved, hither and thither, and they pass over both of them on dry land. And it cometh to pass at their passing over, that Elijah hath said unto Elisha, Ask, what do I do for thee before I am taken from thee? And Elisha saith, Then let there be, I pray thee, a double portion of thy spirit unto me. And he saith, Thou hast asked a hard thing. If thou dost see me taken from thee, it is to thee so, and if not, it is not. And it cometh to pass, they are going on and speaking. And lo, a chariot of fire, and horses of fire, and they separate between them both, and Elijah goeth up in a whirlwind to the heavens. And Elisha is seeing, and he is crying, My father, the chariot of Israel and its horsemen. And he hath not seen him again, and he taketh hold on his garments, and rendeth them into 2 pieces. And he taketh up the robe of Elijah that fell from off him, and turneth back, and standeth on the edge of the Jordan. And he taketh the robe of Elijah that fell from off him, and smiteth the waters, and saith, Where is Jehovah, God of Elijah, even he? And he smiteth the waters, and they are halved hither and thither, and Elisha passeth over. And they see him, the sons of the prophets who are in Jericho, over against, and they say, Rested hath the spirit of Elijah on Elisha. And they come to meet him, and bow themselves to him to the earth, and say unto him, Lo, we pray thee, there are with thy servants 50 men, sons of valor. Let them go, we pray thee, and they seek thy Lord, lest the spirit of Jehovah hath taken him up, and doth cast him on one of the hills, or into one of the valleys. And he saith, Ye do not send. And they press upon him till he is ashamed. And he saith, Send ye. And they send 50 men, and they seek 3 days, and have not found him. And they turn back unto him, and he is abiding in Jericho. And he saith unto them, Did I not say unto you, Do not go? And the men of the city say unto Elisha, Lo, we pray thee, the sight of the city is good, as my lord seeth, and the waters are bad, and the earth sterile. And he saith, Bring to me a new dish, and place there salt. And they bring it unto him. And he goeth out unto the source of the waters, and casteth there salt, and saith, Thus said Jehovah, I have given healing to these waters. There is not thence any more death and sterility. And the waters are healed unto this day, according to the word of Elisha that he spake. And he goeth up thence to Bethel, and he is going up in the way. And little youths have come out from the city, and scoff at him, and say to him, Go up, bald head, go up, bald head. And he looketh behind him, and seeth them, and declareth them vile in the name of Jehovah. And 2 bears come out of the forest, and rend of them 42 lads. And he goeth thence unto the hill of Carmel, and thence he hath turned back to Samaria. Chapter 3. And Jehoram son of Ahab hath reigned over Israel in Samaria in the 18th year of Jehoshaphat king of Judah, and he reigneth 12 years, and doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, only not like his father and like his mother, and he turneth aside the standing pillar of Baal that his father made. Only to the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, that he caused Israel to sin, he hath cleaved, he hath not turned aside from it. And Mesha king of Moab was a sheep master, and he rendered to the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with wool. And it cometh to pass at the death of Ahab, that the king of Moab transgresseth against the king of Israel. And King Jehoram goeth out in that day from Samaria, and inspecteth all Israel, and goeth and sendeth unto Jehoshaphat king of Judah, saying,
The king of Moab hath transgressed against me. Dost thou go up with me unto Moab for battle?
And he saith, I go up, as I, so thou, as my people, so thy people, as my horses, so thy horses. And he saith, Where is this, the way we go up? And he saith,
The way of the wilderness of Edom.
And the king of Israel goeth, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom. And they turn round the way 7 days, and there hath been no water for the camp, and for the cattle that are at their feet. And the king of Israel saith,
Alas, for Jehovah hath called for these 3 kings, to give them into the hand of Moab.
And Jehoshaphat saith, Is there not here a prophet of Jehovah, and we seek Jehovah by him? And one of the servants of the king of Israel answereth and saith, Here is Elisha son of Shaphat, who poured water on the hands of Elijah. And Jehoshaphat saith, The word of Jehovah is with him. And go down unto him do the king of Israel, and Jehoshaphat, and the king of Edom. And Elisha saith unto the king of Israel,
What? To me and to thee? Go unto the prophets of thy father, and unto the prophets of thy mother.
And the king of Israel saith to him,
Nay, for Jehovah hath called for these 3 kings, to give them into the hand of Moab.
And Elisha saith,
Jehovah of hosts liveth, before whom I have stood. For unless the face of Jehoshaphat king of Judah I am lifting up, I do not look unto thee, nor see thee. And now bring to me a minstrel, and it hath been at the playing of the minstrel, that the hand of Jehovah is on him.
And he saith,
Thus said Jehovah, Make this valley ditches, ditches. For thus said Jehovah, Ye do not see wind, nor do ye see rain, and that valley is full of water, and ye have drunk, ye, and your cattle, and your beasts. And this hath been light in the eyes of Jehovah, and he hath given Moab into your hand. And ye have smitten every fenced city, and every choice city, and every good tree ye caused to fall, and all fountains of waters ye stop, and every good portion ye mar with stones.
And it cometh to pass in the morning, at the ascending of the morning present, that, lo, waters are coming in from the way of Edom, and the land is filled with the waters. And all Moab have heard that the kings have come up to fight against them, and they are called together, from every one girding on a girdle and upward, and they stand by the border. And they rise early in the morning, and the sun hath shone on the waters, and the Moabites see from over against the waters red as blood, and say,
Blood this is! The kings have been surely destroyed, and they smite each his neighbor, and now for spoil Moab.
And they come in unto the camp of Israel, and the Israelites rise and smite the Moabites, and they flee from their face. And they enter into Moab, so as to smite Moab. And the cities they break down, and on every good portion they cast each his stone, and have filled it, and every fountain of water they stop, and every good tree they cause to fall, till one had left its stones in Kir Hareseth, and the slingers go round and smite it. And the king of Moab seeth that the battle has been too strong for him, and he taketh with him 700 men, drawing sword, to cleave through unto the king of Edom, and they have not been able. And he taketh his son, the firstborn who reigneth in his stead, and causeth him to ascend, a burnt offering on the wall. And there is great wrath against Israel, and they journey from off him, and turn back to the land. Chapter 4. And a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets hath cried unto Elisha, saying, Thy servant, my husband, is dead, and thou hast known that thy servant was fearing Jehovah, and the lender hath come to take my 2 children to him for servants. And Elisha saith unto her,
What do I do for thee? Declare to me, what hast thou in the house?
And she saith,
Thy maidservant hath nothing in the house except a pot of oil. And he saith, Go, ask for thee vessels from without, from all thy neighbors, empty vessels, let them not be few. And thou hast entered and shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and hast poured out into all these vessels, and the full ones thou dost remove. And she goeth from him, and shutteth the door upon her and upon her sons. They are bringing nigh unto her, and she is pouring out. And it cometh to pass, at the filling of the vessels, that she saith unto her son, Bring nigh unto me a vessel more. And he saith unto her, There is not a vessel more. And the oil stayeth. And she cometh and declareth to the man of God. And he saith, Go, sell the oil, and repay thy loan, and thou and thy sons do live of the rest. And the day cometh that Elisha passeth over unto Shunem, and there is a great woman, and she layeth hold on him to eat bread. And it cometh to pass, at the time of his passing over, he turneth aside thither to eat bread. And she saith unto her husband, Lo, I pray thee, I have known that a holy man of God he is, passing over by us continually. Let us make, I pray thee, a little upper chamber of the wall, and we set for him there a bed, and a table, and a high seat, and a candlestick. And it hath been, in his coming in unto us, he doth turn aside thither. And the day cometh that he cometh in thither, and turneth aside unto the upper chamber, and lieth there. And he saith unto Gehazi, his young man, Call for this Shunammite. And he calleth for her, and she standeth before him. And he saith to him, Say, I pray thee, unto her, Lo, thou hast troubled thyself concerning us with all this trouble. What to do for thee? Is it to speak for thee unto the king, or unto the head of the host? And she saith, In the midst of my people I am dwelling. And he saith, And what to do for her? And Gehazi saith, Verily she hath no son, and her husband is aged. And he saith, Call for her. And he calleth for her, and she standeth at the opening. And he saith, At this season, according to the time of life, thou art embracing a son. And she saith, Nay, my lord, O man of God, do not lie unto thy maidservant. And the woman conceiveth, and beareth a son at this season, according to the time of life that Elisha spoke of unto her. And the lad groweth, and the day cometh that he goeth out unto his father, unto the reapers. And he saith unto his father, My head, my head. And he saith unto the young man, Bear him unto his mother. And he beareth him, and bringeth him in unto his mother, and he sitteth on her knees till the noon, and dieth. And she goeth up, and layeth him on the bed of the man of God, and shutteth the door upon him, and goeth out, and calleth unto her husband, and saith, Send, I pray thee, to me one of the young men, and one of the asses, and I run unto the man of God, and return. And he saith, Wherefore art thou going unto him today? Neither new moon nor Sabbath. And she saith, Peace to thee. And she saddleth the ass, and saith unto her young man, Lead, and go. Do not restrain riding for me, except I have said so to thee. And she goeth, and cometh in unto the man of God, unto the hill of Carmel. And it cometh to pass, at the man of God's seeing her from over against, that he saith unto Gehazi his young man, Lo, this Shunammite! Now run, I pray thee, to meet her, and say to her, Is there peace to thee? Is there peace to thy husband? Is there peace to the lad? And she saith, Peace. And she cometh in unto the man of God, unto the hill, and layeth hold on his feet. And Gehazi cometh nigh to thrust her away. And the man of God saith, Let her alone, for her soul is bitter to her, and Jehovah hath ridden it from me, and hath not declared it to me. And she saith, Did I ask a son from my lord? Did I not say, Do not deceive me? And he saith to Gehazi, Gird up thy loins, and take thy staff in thy hand, and go. When thou dost meet a man, thou dost not salute him, and when a man doth salute thee, thou dost not answer him, and thou hast laid my staff on the face of the youth. And the mother of the youth saith, Jehovah liveth, and thy soul liveth, if I leave thee. And he riseth and goeth after her.
And Gehazi hath passed on before them, and layeth the staff on the face of the youth, and there is no voice, and there is no attention. And he turneth back to meet him, and declareth to him, saying, The youth hath not awaked. And Elisha cometh into the house, and lo, the youth is dead, laid on his bed. And he goeth in, and shutteth the door upon them both, and prayeth unto Jehovah. And he goeth up, and lieth down on the lad, and putteth his mouth on his mouth, and his eyes on his eyes, and his hands on his hands, and stretcheth himself upon him, and the flesh of the lad becometh warm. And he turneth back, and walketh in the house, once hither and once thither, and goeth up, and stretcheth himself upon him. And the youth sneezeth till 7 times, and the youth openeth his eyes. And he calleth unto Gehazi, and saith, Call unto this Shunammite. And he calleth her, and she cometh in unto him, and he saith, Lift up thy son. And she goeth in, and falleth at his feet, and boweth herself to the earth, and lifteth up her son, and goeth out. And Elisha hath turned back to Gilgal, and the famine is in the land, and the sons of the prophets are sitting before him, and he saith to his young man, Set on the great pot, and boil pottage for the sons of the prophets. And one goeth out unto the field to gather herbs, and findeth a vine of the field, and gathereth of it gourds of the field, the fullness of his garment, and cometh in, and splitteth them into the pot of pottage, for they knew them not. And they pour out for the men to eat. And it cometh to pass at their eating of the pottage, that they have cried out, and say, Death is in the pot, O man of God! And they have not been able to eat. And he saith, Then bring ye meal. And he casteth into the pot, and saith, Pour out for the people, and they eat. And there was no evil thing in the pot. And a man hath come from Baal Shalisha, and bringeth in to the man of God bread of firstfruits, 20 loaves of barley, and full ears of corn in its husk. And he saith, Give to the people, and they eat. And his minister saith, What? Do I give this before 100 men? And he saith, Give to the people, and they eat, for thus said Jehovah, Eat and leave. And he giveth before them, and they eat and leave according to the word of Jehovah. Chapter 5. And Naaman, head of the host of the king of Aram, was a great man before his Lord, and accepted of face. For by him had Jehovah given salvation to Aram, and the man was mighty in valor, leprous. And the Arameans have gone out by troops, and they take captive out of the land of Israel a little damsel, and she is before the wife of Naaman. And she saith unto her mistress, Oh, that my lord were before the prophet who is in Samaria! Then he doth recover him from his leprosy. And one goeth in, and declareth to his lord, saying, Thus and thus she hath spoken, the damsel who is from the land of Israel. And the king of Aram saith, Go thou, enter, and I send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he goeth and taketh in his hand 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of garments. And he bringeth in the letter unto the king of Israel, saying, And now, at the coming in of this letter unto thee, lo, I have sent unto thee Naaman my servant, and thou hast recovered him from his leprosy. And it cometh to pass, at the king of Israel's reading the letter, that he rendeth his garments, and saith, Am I God to put to death and to keep alive, that this one is sending unto me to recover a man from his leprosy? For surely no, I pray you, and see, for he is presenting himself to me. And it cometh to pass, at Elisha the man of God's hearing that the king of Israel hath rent his garments, that he sendeth unto the king, saying, Why hast thou rent thy garments? Let him come, I pray thee, unto me, and he doth know that there is a prophet in Israel. And Naaman cometh with his horses and with his chariot, and standeth at the opening of the house for Elisha. And Elisha sendeth unto him a messenger, saying, Go, and thou hast washed 7 times in Jordan, and thy flesh doth turn back to thee, and be thou clean. And Naaman is wroth, and goeth on, and saith, Lo, I said, Unto me he doth certainly come out, and hath stood and called in the name of Jehovah his God, and waved his hand over the place, and recovered the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Do I not wash in them, and I have been clean? And he turneth and goeth on in fury. And his servants come nigh, and speak unto him, and say, My father, a great thing had the prophet spoken unto thee. Dost thou not do it? And surely when he hath said unto thee, Wash and be clean. And he goeth down and dippeth in Jordan 7 times, according to the word of the man of God, and his flesh doth turn back as the flesh of a little youth, and is clean. And he turneth back unto the man of God, he and all his camp, and cometh in, and standeth before him, and saith, Lo, I pray thee, I have known that there is not a God in all the earth except in Israel, and now take, I pray thee, a blessing from thy servant. And he saith, Jehovah liveth, before whom I have stood, if I take it. And he presseth on him to take, and he refuseth. And Naaman saith, If not, let be given, I pray thee, to thy servant a couple of mules' burden of earth. For thy servant doth make no more burnt offering and sacrifice to other gods, but to Jehovah. For this thing Jehovah be propitious to thy servant in the coming in of my lord into the house of Rimmon to bow himself there, and he was supported by my hand, and I bowed myself in the house of Rimmon. For my bowing myself in the house of Rimmon, Jehovah be propitious, I pray thee, to thy servant in this thing. And he saith to him, Go in peace. And he goeth from him a kibrath of land. And Gehazi, servant of Elisha the man of God, saith, Lo, my lord hath spared Naaman this Aramean, not to receive from his hand that which he brought. Jehovah liveth, surely if I have run after him, then I have taken from him something. And Gehazi pursueth after Naaman, and Naaman seeth one running after him, and alighteth from off the chariot to meet him, and saith, Is there peace? And he saith, Peace. My lord hath sent me, saying, Lo, now this, Come unto me have 2 young men from the hill country of Ephraim, of the sons of the prophets. Give, I pray thee, to them a talent of silver, and 2 changes of garments. And Naaman saith, Be pleased, take 2 talents. And he urgeth on him, and bindeth 2 talents of silver in 2 purses, and 2 changes of garments, and giveth unto 2 of his young men, and they bear before him. And he cometh in unto the high place, and taketh out of their hand, and layeth up in the house, and sendeth away the men, and they go. And he hath come in, and doth stand by his lord. And Elisha saith unto him, Whence, Gehazi? And he saith, Thy servant went not hither or thither. And he saith unto him, My heart went not when the man turned from off his chariot to meet thee. Is it a time to take silver, and to take garments, and olives, and vines, and flock, and herd, and manservants, and maidservants? Yea, the leprosy of Naaman doth cleave to thee, and to thy seed, to the age. And he goeth out from before him, leprous as snow. The end of chapters 1 through 5. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapters 6 through 10 of the second book of the Kings, from the Young's Literal Translation. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapter 6. And sons of the prophet say unto Elisha, Lo, we pray thee, the place where we are dwelling before thee is too strait for us. Let us go, we pray thee, unto the Jordan, and we take thence each one beam, and we make for ourselves there a place to dwell there. And he saith, Go. And the one saith, Be pleased, I pray thee, and go with thy servants. And he saith, I go. And he goeth with them, and they come in to the Jordan, and cut down the trees. And it cometh to pass, the one is felling the beam, and the iron hath fallen into the water. And he crieth, and saith, Alas, my lord, and it asked. And the man of God saith, Whither hath it fallen? And he showeth him the place, and he cutteth a stick, and casteth thither, and causeth the iron to swim, and saith, Raise to thee. And he putteth forth his hand, and taketh it. And the king of Aram hath been fighting against Israel, and taketh counsel with his servants, saying, At such and such a place is my encamping. And the man of God sendeth unto the king of Israel, saying,
Take heed of passing by this place, for thither are the Arameans coming down.
And the king of Israel sendeth unto the place of which the man of God spake to him, and warned him, and he is preserved there not once nor twice. And the heart of the king of Aram is tossed about concerning this thing, and he calleth unto his servants, and saith unto them, Do ye not declare to me who of us is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants saith,
Nay, my lord, O king, for Elisha the prophet, who is in Israel, declareth to the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in the inner part of thy bedchamber.
And he saith, Go ye and see where he is, and I send and take him. And it is declared to him, saying, Lo, in Dothan. And he sendeth thither horses and chariot, and a heavy force, and they come in by night, and go round against the city. And the servant of the man of God riseth early, and goeth out, and lo, a force is surrounding the city, and horse and chariot. And his young man saith unto him, Alas, my lord, how do we do? And he saith,
Fear not, for more are they who are with us than they who are with them.
And Elisha prayeth, and saith,
Jehovah, open, I pray thee, his eyes, and he doth see.
And Jehovah openeth the eyes of the young man, and he seeth, and lo, the hill is full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. And they come down unto it, and Elisha prayeth unto Jehovah, and saith,
Smite, I pray thee, this nation with blindness.
And he smiteth them with blindness, according to the word of Elisha. And Elisha saith unto them,
This is not the way, nor is this the city. Come after me, and I lead you unto the man whom ye seek.
And he leadeth them to Samaria. And it cometh to pass at their coming into Samaria, that Elisha saith,
Jehovah, open the eyes of these, and they see.
And Jehovah openeth their eyes, and they see, and lo, in the midst of Samaria. And the king of Israel saith unto Elisha at his seeing them,
Do I smite? Do I smite, my father?
And he saith,
Thou dost not smite. Those whom thou hast taken captive with thy sword and with thy bow, art thou smiting? Set bread and water before them, and they eat and drink, and go unto their lord.
And he prepareth for them great provision, and they eat and drink, and he sendeth them away, and they go unto their lord. And troops of Aram have not added any more to come into the land of Israel. And it cometh to pass afterwards, that Benhadad king of Aram gathereth all his camp, and goeth up, and layeth siege to Samaria. And there is a great famine in Samaria, and lo, they are laying siege to it, till the head of an ass is at 80 silverlings, and a fourth of the cab of dove's dung at 5 silverlings. And it cometh to pass, the king of Israel is passing by on the wall, and a woman hath cried unto him, saying, Save my lord, O king. And he saith,
Jehovah doth not save thee. Whence do I save thee? Out of the threshing floor, or out of the wine vat?
And the king saith to her,
What to thee?
And she saith, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, and we eat him today, and my son we eat tomorrow. And we boil my son, and eat him. And I say unto her on the next day, Give thy son, and we eat him. And she hideth her son. And it cometh to pass at the king's hearing the words of the woman, that he rendeth his garments, and he is passing by on the wall, and the people see, and lo, the sackcloth is on his flesh within. And he saith,
Thus doth God do to me, and thus he doth add, if it remain, the head of Elisha son of Shaphat upon him this day.
And Elisha is sitting in his house, and the elders are sitting with him. And the king sendeth a man from before him. Before the messenger doth come unto him, even he himself said unto the elders,
Have ye seen that this son of the murderer hath sent to turn aside my head? See, at the coming in of the messenger, shut the door, and ye have held him fast at the door. Is not the sound of the feet of his Lord behind him?
He is yet speaking with them, and lo, the messenger is coming down unto him. And he saith,
Lo, this is the evil from Jehovah. What, do I wait for Jehovah any more?
Chapter 7. And Elisha saith,
Hear ye a word of Jehovah. Thus said Jehovah, About this time tomorrow a measure of fine flour is at a shekel, and 2 measures of barley at a shekel in the gate of Samaria.
And the captain, whom the king hath, by whose hand he hath been supported, answereth the man of God, and saith,
Lo, Jehovah is making windows in the heavens. Shall this thing be?
And he saith,
Lo, thou art seeing it with thine eyes, and thereof thou dost not eat.
And 4 men have been leprous at the opening of the gate, and they say one unto another, What? We are sitting here till we have died. If we have said, We go into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we have died there. And if we have sat here, then we have died. And now, come, and we fall unto the camp of Aram. If they keep us alive, we live, and if they put us to death, we have died. And they rise in the twilight to go in unto the camp of Aram. And they come in unto the extremity of the camp of Aram, and lo, there is not a man there, seeing Jehovah hath caused the camp of Aram to hear a noise of chariot, and a noise of horse, a noise of great force. And they say one unto another, Lo, the king of Israel hath hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of Egypt to come against us. And they rise and flee in the twilight, and forsake their tents, and their horses, and their asses, the camp as it is, and flee for their life. And these lepers come in unto the extremity of the camp, and come in unto one tent, and eat, and drink, and lift up thence silver, and gold, and garments, and go and hide. And they turn back and go in unto another tent, and lift up thence, and go and hide. And they say one unto another,
We are not doing right this day. A day of tidings it is, and we are keeping silent. And we have waited till the light of the morning. Then hath punishment found us. And now, come, and we go in and declare to the house of the king.
And they come in, and call unto the gatekeeper of the city, and declare for themselves, saying,
We have come in unto the camp of Aram, and lo, there is not there a man or sound of man, but the bound horse and the bound ass, and tents as they are.
And he calleth the gatekeepers, and they declare to the house of the king within. And the king riseth by night, and saith unto his servants,
Let me declare, I pray you, to you that which the Arameans have done to us. They have known that we are famished, and they are gone out from the camp to be hidden in the field, saying, When they come out from the city, then we catch them alive, and unto the city we enter.
And one of his servants answereth and saith, Then let them take, I pray thee, 5 of the horses that are left, that have been left in it. Lo, they are as all the multitude of Israel who have been left in it. Lo, they are as all the multitude of Israel who have been consumed, and we send and see. And they take 2 chariot horses, and the king sendeth after the camp of Aram, saying, Go and see. And they go after them unto the Jordan. And lo, all the way is full of garments and vessels that the Arameans have cast away in their haste. And the messengers turn back and declare to the king. And the people go out and spoil the camp of Aram. And there is a measure of fine flour at a shekel, and 2 measures of barley at a shekel, according to the word of Jehovah. And the king hath appointed the captain, by whose hand he is supported, over the gate. And the people tread him down in the gate, and he dieth, as the man of God spake, which he spake in the coming down of the king unto him. Yea, it cometh to pass, according to the speaking of the man of God unto the king, saying, 2 measures of barley at a shekel, and a measure of fine flour at a shekel are, at this time tomorrow, in the gate of Samaria. And the captain answereth the man of God, and saith, And lo, Jehovah is making windows in the heavens. It is according to this word? And he saith, Lo, thou art seeing with thine eyes, and thereof thou dost not eat. And it cometh to him so, and the people tread him down in the gate, and he dieth. Chapter 8. And Elisha spake unto the woman whose son he had revived, saying,
Rise and go, thou and thy household, and sojourn where thou dost sojourn. For Jehovah hath called for a famine, and also it is coming unto the land 7 years.
And the woman riseth, and doth according to the word of the man of God, and goeth, she and her household, and sojourneth in the land of the Philistines 7 years. And it cometh to pass at the end of 7 years, that the woman turneth back from the land of the Philistines, and goeth out to cry unto the king for her house and for her field. And the king is speaking unto Gehazi, servant of the man of God, saying, Recount, I pray thee, to me the whole of the great things that Elisha hath done. And it cometh to pass, he is recounting to the king how he had revived the dead, and lo, the woman whose son he had revived is crying unto the king for her house and for her field. And Gehazi saith, My lord, O king, this is the woman, and this her son, whom Elisha revived. And the king asketh at the woman, and she recounteth to him, and the king appointeth to her a certain eunuch, saying, Give back all that she hath, and all the increase of the field from the day of her leaving the land even till now. And Elisha cometh into Damascus, and Ben-Hadad king of Aram is sick, and it is declared to him, saying, The man of God hath come hither. And the king saith unto Hazael, Take in thy hand a present, and go to meet the man of God. And thou hast sought Jehovah by him, saying, Do I revive from this sickness? And Hazael goeth to meet him, and taketh a present in his hand, even of every good thing of Damascus, a burden of 40 camels. And he cometh in, and standeth before him, and saith, Thy son Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, hath sent me unto thee, saying, Do I revive from this sickness? And Elisha saith unto him, Go, say, Thou dost certainly not revive, seeing Jehovah hath showed me that he doth surely die. And he setteth his face, yea, he setteth it till he is ashamed, and the man of God weepeth. And Hazael saith, Wherefore is my lord weeping? And he saith, Because I have known the evil that thou dost to the sons of Israel. Their fenced places thou dost send into fire, and their young men with sword thou dost slay, and their sucklings thou dost dash to pieces, and their pregnant women thou dost rip up. And Hazael saith, But what is thy servant the dog, that he doth this great thing? And Elisha saith, Jehovah hath showed me thee, king of Aram. And he goeth from Elisha, and cometh in unto his lord. And he saith unto him, What said Elisha to thee? And he saith, He said to me, Thou dost certainly recover. And it cometh to pass on the morrow, that he taketh the coarse cloth, and dippeth in water, and spreadeth on his face, and he dieth, and Hazael reigneth in his stead. And in the 5th year of Joram son of Ahab king of Israel, and Jehoshaphat is king of Judah, hath Jehoram son of Jehoshaphat king of Judah reigned. A son of 32 years was he in his reigning, and 8 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem. And he walketh in the way of the kings of Israel, as did the house of Ahab, for a daughter of Ahab was to him for a wife, and he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah. And Jehovah was not willing to destroy Judah for the sake of David his servant, as he said to him, to give to him a lamp to his sons all the days. In his days hath Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah, and they cause a king to reign over them. And Joram passeth over to Zair, and all the chariots with him, and he himself hath risen by night, and smiteth Edom, that is coming round about unto him, and the heads of the chariots, and the people fleeth to its tents. And Edom revolteth from under the hand of Judah till this day. Then doth Libnah revolt at that time. And the rest of the matters of Joram, and all that he did, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Joram lieth with his fathers, and is buried with his fathers in the city of David, and reign doth Ahaziah his son in his stead. In the 12th year of Joram son of Ahab king of Israel reigned hath Ahaziah son of Jehoram king of Judah. A son of 22 years is Ahaziah in his reigning, and 1 year he hath reigned in Jerusalem, and the name of his mother is Athaliah daughter of Omri king of Israel. And he walketh in the way of the house of Ahab, and doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, like the house of Ahab, for he is son-in-law of the house of Ahab. And he goeth with Joram son of Ahab to battle with Hazael king of Aram in Ramoth Gilead, and the Arameans smite Joram. And Joram the king turneth back to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds with which the Arameans smite him in Ramah in his fighting with Hazael king of Aram. And Ahaziah son of Jehoram king of Judah hath gone down to see Joram son of Ahab in Jezreel, for he is sick. Chapter 9. And Elisha the prophet hath called to one of the sons of the prophets, and saith to him,
Gird up thy loins, and take this vial of oil in thy hand, and go to Ramoth Gilead. And thou hast gone in there, and see thou there Jehu son of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshi. And thou hast gone in, and caused him to rise out of the midst of his brethren, and brought him into the inner part of an inner chamber, and taken the vial of oil, and poured on his head, and said, Thus said Jehovah, I have anointed thee for king unto Israel, and thou hast opened the door, and fled, and dost not wait.
And the young man goeth, the young man the prophet, to Ramoth Gilead, and cometh in, and lo, chiefs of the force are sitting. And he saith, I have a word unto thee, O chief. And Jehu saith, Unto which of all of us? And he saith, Unto thee, O chief. And he riseth, and cometh into the house, and he poureth the oil on his head, and saith to him, Thus said Jehovah, God of Israel, I have anointed thee for king unto the people of Jehovah, unto Israel. And thou hast smitten the house of Ahab thy lord, and I have required the blood of my servants the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of Jehovah, from the hand of Jezebel. And perished hath all the house of Ahab, and I have cut off to Ahab those sitting on the wall, and restrained, and left in Israel. And I have given up the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam son of Nebat, and as the house of Baasha son of Ahijah. And Jezebel do the dogs eat in the portion of Jezreel, and there is none burying. And he openeth the door, and fleeth. And Jehu hath gone out unto the servants of his lord, and one saith to him,
Is there peace? Wherefore came this madman unto thee?
And he saith unto them, Ye have known the man and his talk. And they say,
False! Declare, we pray thee, to us.
And he saith, Thus and thus spake he unto me, saying, Thus said Jehovah, I have anointed thee for king unto Israel. And they haste, and take each his garment, and put it under him at the top of the stairs, and blow with the trumpet, and say, Reigned hath Jehu! And Jehu son of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshi, conspireth against Joram. And Joram was keeping in Ramoth Gilead, he and all Israel, from the presence of Hazael king of Aram. And King Joram turneth back to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds with which the Arameans smite him in his fighting with Hazael king of Aram. And Jehu saith, If it is your mind, let not an escaped one go out from the city to go to declare it in Jezreel. And Jehu rideth, and goeth to Jezreel, for Joram is lying there, and Ahaziah king of Judah hath gone down to see Joram. And the watchman is standing on the tower in Jezreel, and seeth the company of Jehu in his coming, and saith, A company I see. And Joram saith, Take a rider, and send to meet them, and let him say, Is there peace? And the rider on the horse goeth to meet him, and saith,
Thus said the king, Is there peace?
And Jehu saith, What? To thee and to peace? Turn round behind me. And the watchman declareth, saying, The messenger came unto them, and he hath not returned. And he sendeth a second rider on a horse, and he cometh in unto them, and saith,
Thus said the king, Is there peace?
And Jehu saith, What? To thee and to peace? Turn round behind me. And the watchman declareth, saying,
He came unto them, and he hath not returned, and the driving is like the driving of Jehu son of Nimshi, for with madness he driveth.
And Jehoram saith,
Harness.
And his chariot is harnessed. And Jehoram king of Israel goeth out, and Ahaziah king of Judah, each in his chariot. And they go out to meet Jehu, and find him in the portion of Naboth the Jezreelite. And it cometh to pass at Jehoram's seeing Jehu, that he saith,
Is there peace, Jehu?
And he saith, What is the peace, while the whoredoms of Jezebel thy mother and her witchcrafts are many? And Jehoram turneth his hands, and fleeth, and saith unto Ahaziah,
Deceit, O Ahaziah!
And Jehu hath filled his hand with a bow, and smiteth Jehoram between his arms, and the arrow goeth out from his heart, and he boweth down in his chariot. And Jehu saith unto Bidkar his captain, Lift up, cast him into the portion of the field of Naboth the Jezreelite. For remember, I and thou were riding together after Ahab his father, and Jehovah lifted upon him this burden. Have I not the blood of Naboth and the blood of his sons seen yesternight, the affirmation of Jehovah? Yea, I have recompensed to thee in this portion the affirmation of Jehovah. And now lift up, cast him into the portion according to the word of Jehovah. And Ahaziah king of Judah hath seen, and fleeth the way of the garden house. And Jehu pursueth after him, and saith, Smite him, also him in the chariot, in the going up to Gur, that is Iblaim. And he fleeth to Megiddo, and dieth there. And his servants carry him in a chariot to Jerusalem, and bury him in his burying place with his fathers in the city of David. And in the 11th year of Joram son of Ahab reign did Ahaziah over Judah. And Jehu cometh into Jezreel, and Jezebel hath heard, and putteth her eyes in paint, and maketh right her head, and looketh out through the window. And Jehu hath come into the gate, and she saith, Was there peace to Zimri, slayer of his lord? And he lifteth up his face unto the window, and saith, Who is with me? Who? And look out unto him do 2 or 3 eunuchs. And he saith, Let her go. And they let her go, and some of her blood is sprinkled on the wall and on the horses, and he treadeth her down. And he cometh in, and eateth and drinketh, and saith, Look after, I pray you, this cursed one, and bury her, for she is a king's daughter. And they go to bury her, and have not found of her except the skull, and the feet, and the palms of the hands. And they turn back, and declare to him. And he saith, The word of Jehovah it is, that he spake by the hand of this servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, In the portion of Jezreel do the dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel, and the carcass of Jezebel hath been as dung on the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, that they say not, This is Jezebel. Chapter 10. And Ahab hath 70 sons in Samaria, and Jehu writeth letters, and sendeth to Samaria unto the heads of Jezreel, the elders, and unto the supporters of Ahab, saying, And now, at the coming in of this letter unto you, and with you are sons of your Lord, and with you are the chariots and the horses, and a fenced city, and the armor. And ye have seen the best and the uprightest of the sons of your Lord, and have set him on the throne of his father, and fight ye for the house of your Lord. And they fear very greatly, and say,
Lo, the 2 kings have not stood before him, and how do we stand? We?
And he who is over the house, and he who is over the city, and the elders, and the supporters send unto Jehu, saying, Thy servants we are, and all that thou sayest unto us, we do. We do not make any one king. That which is good in thine eyes, do. And he writeth unto them a letter a second time, saying, If ye are for me, and to my voice are hearkening, take the heads of the men, the sons of your Lord, and come unto me about this time tomorrow to Jezreel. And the sons of the king are 70 men, with the great ones of the city, those bringing them up. And it cometh to pass, at the coming in of the letter unto them, that they take the sons of the king, and slaughter 70 men, and put their heads in baskets, and send unto him to Jezreel. And the messenger cometh in, and declareth to him, saying,
They have brought in the heads of the sons of the king.
And he saith, Make them 2 heaps at the opening of the gate till the morning. And it cometh to pass in the morning, that he goeth out, and standeth, and saith unto all the people, Righteous are ye. Lo, I have conspired against my Lord, and slay him. And who smote all these? Know ye now that nothing doth fall of the word of Jehovah to the earth that Jehovah spake against the house of Ahab, and Jehovah hath done that which he spake by the hand of his servant Elijah. And Jehu smiteth all those left to the house of Ahab in Jezreel, and all his great men, and his acquaintances, and his priests, till he hath not left to him a remnant. And he riseth, and cometh in, and goeth to Samaria. He is at the shepherd's shearing house in the way. And Jehu hath found the brethren of Ahaziah king of Judah, and saith, Who are ye? And they say, Brethren of Ahaziah we are, and we go down to salute the sons of the king, and the sons of the mistress. And he saith, Catch them alive. And they catch them alive, and slaughter them at the pit of the shearing house, 42 men, and he hath not left a man of them. And he goeth thence, and findeth Jehonadab, son of Rechab, to meet him, and blesseth him, and saith unto him, Is thy heart right, as my heart is with thy heart? And Jehonadab saith,
It is.
Then it is, give thy hand. And he giveth his hand, and he causeth him to come up into him into the chariot, and saith, Come with me, and look on my zeal for Jehovah. And they cause him to ride in his chariot. And he cometh into Samaria, and smiteth all those left to Ahab in Samaria, till his destroying him, according to the word of Jehovah that he spake unto Elisha. And Jehu gathereth the whole of the people, and saith unto them, Ahab served Baal a little, Jehu doth serve him much. And now all the prophets of Baal, all his servants, and all his priests, call ye unto me, let not a man be lacking, for a great sacrifice I have for Baal. Every one who is lacking, he doth not live. And Jehu hath done it in subtlety, in order to destroy the servants of Baal. And Jehu saith, Sanctify a restraint for Baal. And they proclaim it. And Jehu sendeth into all Israel, and all the servants of Baal come in, and there hath not been left a man who hath not come in. And they come into the house of Baal, and the house of Baal is full, mouth to mouth. And he saith to him who is over the wardrobe, Bring out clothing to all servants of Baal. And he bringeth out to them the clothing. And Jehu goeth in, and Jehonadab son of Rechab, to the house of Baal, and saith to the servants of Baal, Search and see, lest there be here with you of the servants of Jehovah, but the servants of Baal by themselves. And they come in to make sacrifices and burnt offerings. And Jehu hath set for himself in an outplace 80 men, and saith, The man who letteth escape any of the men who I am bringing in unto your hand, his soul for his soul. And it cometh to pass at his finishing to make the burnt offering, that Jehu saith to the runners and to the captains, Go in, smite them, let none come out. And they smite them by the mouth of the sword, and the runners and the captains cast them out, and they go unto the city, to the house of Baal, and bring out the standing pillars of the house of Baal, and burn them, and break down the standing pillar of Baal, and break down the house of Baal, and appoint it for a draught house unto this day. And Jehu destroyeth Baal out of Israel. Only the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, that he caused Israel to sin, Jehu hath not turned aside from after them, the calves of gold that are at Bethel and in Dan. And Jehovah saith unto Jehu, Because that thou hast done well to do that which is right in mine eyes, according to all that is in my heart, thou hast done to the house of Ahab. The sons of the 4th generation do sit for thee on the throne of Israel. And Jehu hath not taken heed to walk in the law of Jehovah, God of Israel, with all his heart. He hath not turned aside from the sins of Jeroboam, that he caused Israel to sin. In those days hath Jehovah begun to cut off some in Israel, and Hazael smiteth them in all the border of Israel, from the Jordan at the sunrising, the whole land of Gilead, of the Gadite, and the Reubenite, and the Manassite, from Aroer, that is by the brook Arnon, even Gilead and Bashan. And the rest of the matters of Jehu, and all that he did, and all his might, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jehu lieth with his fathers, and they bury him in Samaria, and reign doth Jehoahaz his son in his stead. And the days that Jehu hath reigned over Israel are 28 years in Samaria. The end of chapters 6 through 10. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapters 11 through 15 of the second book of the Kings, from the Young's Literal Translation. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapter 11. And Athaliah is mother of Ahaziah, and she hath seen that her son is dead, and she riseth and destroyeth all the seed of the kingdom. And Jehosheba, daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, taketh Joash, son of Ahaziah, and stealeth him out of the midst of the sons of the king, who are put to death, him and his nurse, in the inner part of the bedchambers. And they hide him from the presence of Athaliah, and he hath not been put to death. And he is with her in the house of Jehovah, hiding himself 6 years, and Athaliah is reigning over the land. And in the 7th year hath Jehoiada sent, and taketh the heads of the hundreds, of the executioners, and of the runners, and bringeth them in unto him to the house of Jehovah, and maketh with them a covenant, and causeth them to swear in the house of Jehovah, and showeth them the son of the king, and commandeth them, saying,
This is the thing that ye do. The 3rd of you are going in on the Sabbath, and keepers of the charge of the house of the king, and the 3rd is at the gate of Sur, and the 3rd at the gate behind the runners, and ye have kept the charge of the house pulled down. And 2 parts of you, all going out on the Sabbath, they have kept the charge of the house of Jehovah about the king. And ye have compassed the king round about, each with his weapons in his hand. And he who is coming unto the ranges is put to death. And be ye with the king in his going out, and in his coming in.
And the heads of the hundreds do according to all that Jehoiada the priest commanded, and take each his man going in on the Sabbath, with those going out on the Sabbath, and come in unto Jehoiada the priest. And the priest giveth to the heads of the hundreds the spears and the shields that King David had, that are in the house of Jehovah. And the runners stand, each with his weapons in his hand, from the right shoulder of the house unto the left shoulder of the house, by the altar and by the house, by the king round about. And he bringeth out the son of the king, and putteth on him the crown and the testimony, and they make him king, and anoint him, and smite the hand, and say, Let the king live! And Athaliah heareth the voice of the runners and of the people, and she cometh in unto the people to the house of Jehovah, and looketh, and lo, the king is standing by the altar, according to the ordinance, and the heads and the trumpets are by the king, and all the people of the land are rejoicing and blowing with trumpets. And Athaliah rendeth her garments, and calleth, Conspiracy! Conspiracy! And Jehoiada the priest commandeth the heads of the hundreds, inspectors of the force, and saith unto them,
Bring her out unto the outside of the ranges, and him who is going after her, put to death by the sword.
For the priest had said,
Let her not be put to death in the house of Jehovah.
And they make for her sides, and she entereth the way of the entering in of the horses to the house of the king, and is put to death there. And Jehoiada maketh the covenant between Jehovah and the king and the people, to be for a people to Jehovah, and between the king and the people. And all the people of the land go into the house of Baal, and break it down. Its altars and its images they have thoroughly broken. And Mattan, priest of Baal, they have slain before the altars. And the priest setteth inspectors over the house of Jehovah, and taketh the heads of the hundreds, and the executioners, and the runners, and all the people of the land, And they bring down the king from the house of Jehovah, and come by the way of the gate of the runners to the house of the king, and he sitteth on the throne of the kings. And all the people of the land rejoice, and the city is quiet, and Athaliah they have put to death by the sword in the house of the king. A son of 7 years is Jehoash in his reigning. Chapter 12. In the 7th year of Jehu reigned hath Jehoash, and 40 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem, and the name of his mother is Zibiah of Beersheba. And Jehoash doth that which is right in the eyes of Jehovah all his days in which Jehoiada the priest directed him. Only the high places have not turned aside. Still are the people sacrificing and making perfume in high places. And Jehoash saith unto the priests, All the money of the sanctified things that is brought into the house of Jehovah, the money of him who is passing over, each the money of his valuation, all the money that it goeth up on the heart of a man to bring into the house of Jehovah, do the priests take to them, each from his acquaintance, and they strengthen the breach of the house in all places where there is found a breach. And it cometh to pass, in the 23rd year of King Jehoash, the priests have not strengthened the breach of the house. And King Jehoash calleth to Jehoiada the priests, and to the priests, and saith unto them, Wherefore are ye not strengthening the breach of the house? And now receive no money from your acquaintances, but for the breach of the house give it. And the priests consent not to receive money from the people, nor to strengthen the breach of the house. And Jehoiada the priest taketh a chest, and pierceth a hole in its lid, and putteth it near the altar, on the right side, as one cometh into the house of Jehovah. And the priests keeping the threshold have put there all the money that is brought into the house of Jehovah. And it cometh to pass, at their seeing that the money is abundant in the chest, that there goeth up a scribe of the king and of the high priest, and they bind it up, and count the money that is found in the house of Jehovah, and have given the weighed money into the hands of those doing the work, those inspecting the house of Jehovah. And they bring it out to those working in the wood, and to builders who are working in the house of Jehovah, and to those repairing the wall, and to hewers of stone, and to buy wood and hewn stones to strengthen the breach of the house of Jehovah, and for all that goeth out on the house, to strengthen it. Only there is not made for the house of Jehovah basins of silver, snuffers, bowls, trumpets, any vessel of gold, and vessel of silver, out of the money that is brought into the house of Jehovah. For to those doing the work they give it, and they have strengthened with it the house of Jehovah, and they do not reckon with the men into whose hand they give the money to give to those doing the work, for in faithfulness they are dealing. The money of a trespass offering and the money of sin offerings is not brought into the house of Jehovah, for the priests it is. Then doth Hazael king of Aram, and fighteth against Gath, and captureth it, and Hazael setteth his face to go up against Jerusalem. And Jehoash king of Judah taketh all the sanctified things that Jehoshaphat and Jehoram and Ahaziah his fathers, kings of Judah, had sanctified, and his own sanctified things, and all the gold that is found in the treasures of the house of Jehovah and of the house of the king, and sendeth to Hazael king of Aram, and he goeth up from off Jerusalem. And the rest of the matters of Joash, and all that he did, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And his servants rise and make a conspiracy, and smite Joash in the house of Millo that is going down to Silah. Yea, Jozachar son of Shemaath, and Jehozabad son of Shemer his servants have smitten him, and he dieth, and they bury him with his fathers in the city of David, and reign doth Amaziah his son in his stead. Chapter 13. In the 23rd year of Joash son of Ahaziah king of Judah, hath Jehoahaz son of Jehu reigned over Israel in Samaria 17 years. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, and goeth after the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, that he caused Israel to sin. He turned not aside from it. And the anger of Jehovah burneth against Israel, and he giveth them into the hand of Hazael king of Aram, and into the hand of Benhadad son of Hazael, all the days. And Jehoahaz appeaseth the face of Jehovah, and Jehovah hearkeneth unto him, for he hath seen the oppression of Israel, for oppressed them hath the king of Aram. And Jehovah giveth to Israel a Saviour, and they go out from under the hand of Aram, and the sons of Israel dwell in their tents as heretofore. Only they have not turned aside from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, that he caused Israel to sin. Therein they walked, and also the shrine hath remained in Samaria. For he left not to Jehoahaz of the people except 50 horsemen, and 10 chariots, and 10,000 footmen. For the king of Aram hath destroyed them, and maketh them as dust for threshing. And the rest of the matters of Jehoahaz, and all that he did, and his might, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jehoahaz lieth with his fathers, and they bury him in Samaria, and reign doth Joash his son in his stead. In the 37th year of Joash king of Judah, reigned hath Jehoash son of Jehoahaz over Israel in Samaria 16 years. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah. He hath not turned aside from all the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, that he caused Israel to sin. Therein he walked. And the rest of the matters of Joash, and all that he did, and his might with which he fought with Amaziah king of Judah, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Joash lieth with his fathers, and Jeroboam hath sat on his throne. And Joash is buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. And Elisha hath been sick with his sickness in which he dieth, and come down unto him doth Joash king of Israel, and weepeth on his face, and saith, My father, the chariot of Israel, and its horsemen. And Elisha saith to him,
Take bow and arrows.
And he taketh unto him bow and arrows. And he saith to the king of Israel,
Place thy hand on the bow.
And he placeth his hand, and Elisha putteth his hands on the hands of the king, and saith,
Open the window eastward.
And he openeth, and Elisha saith,
Shoot.
And he shooteth, and he saith,
An arrow of salvation to Jehovah, and an arrow of salvation against Aram, and thou hast smitten Aram in Aphek till consuming.
And he saith,
Take the arrows.
And he taketh, and he saith to the king of Israel,
Smite to the earth.
And he smiteth 3 times, and stayeth. And the man of God is wroth against him, and saith,
By smiting 5 or 6 times, then thou hadst smitten Aram till consuming, and now 3 times thou dost smite Aram.
And Elisha dieth, and they bury him, and troops of Moab come into the land at the coming in of the year. And it cometh to pass, they are burying a man, and lo, they have seen the troop, and cast the man into the grave of Elisha. And the man goeth and cometh against the bones of Elisha, and liveth, and riseth on his feet. And Hazael king of Aram hath oppressed Israel all the days of Jehoahaz, and Jehovah doth favour them, and pity them, and turn unto them, for the sake of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and hath not been willing to destroy them, nor to cast them from his presence as yet. And Hazael king of Aram dieth, and reign doth Benhadad his son in his stead. And Jehoash son of Jehoahaz turneth and taketh the cities out of the hand of Benhadad son of Hazael, that he had taken out of the hand of Jehoahaz his father in war. 3 times hath Joash smitten him, and he bringeth back the cities of Israel. Chapter 14. In the 2nd year of Joash son of Jehoahaz king of Israel, reigned hath Amaziah son of Joash king of Judah. A son of 25 years was he in his reigning, and 29 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem, and the name of his mother is Jehoaddan of Jerusalem. And he doth that which is right in the eyes of Jehovah, only not like David his father. According to all that Joash his father did, he hath done. Only the high places have not turned aside. Yet are the people sacrificing and making perfume in high places. And it cometh to pass, when the kingdom hath been strong in his hand, that he smiteth his servants, those smiting the king his father. And the sons of those smiting him he hath not put to death, as it is written in the book of the law of Moses that Jehovah commanded, saying, Fathers are not put to death for sons, and sons are not put to death for fathers, but each for his own sin is put to death. He hath smitten Edom in the valley of Salt, 10,000, and seized Selah in war, and one calleth its name Joktheel, unto this day. Then hath Amaziah sent messengers unto Jehoash son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying,
Come, we look one another in the face.
And Jehoash king of Israel sendeth unto Amaziah king of Judah, saying,
The thorn that is in Lebanon hath sent unto the cedar that is in Lebanon, saying, Give thy daughter to my son for a wife. And pass by doth a beast of the field that is in Lebanon, and treadeth down the thorn. Thou hast certainly smitten Edom, and thy heart hath lifted thee up. Be honored, and abide in thy house. And why dost thou stir thyself up in evil, that thou hast fallen, thou and Judah with thee? And Amaziah hath not hearkened, and go up doth Jehoash king of Israel, and they look one another in the face, he and Amaziah king of Judah, in Beth Shemesh, that is, Judah's. And Judah is smitten before Israel, and they flee each to his tent. And Amaziah king of Judah, son of Jehoash, son of Ahaziah, caught hath Jehoash king of Israel in Beth Shemesh, and they come into Jerusalem, and he bursteth through the wall of Jerusalem, at the gate of Ephraim unto the gate of the corner, 400 cubits, and hath taken all the gold and the silver, and all the vessels that are found in the house of Jehovah, and in the treasures of the house of the king, and the sons of the pledges, and turneth back to Samaria. And the rest of the matters of Jehoash that he did, and his might, and how he fought with Amaziah king of Judah, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jehoash lieth with his fathers, and is buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel, and reign doth Jeroboam his son in his stead. And Amaziah son of Joash king of Judah liveth after the death of Jehoash son of Jehoahaz king of Israel 15 years. And the rest of the matters of Amaziah, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And they make a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem, and he fleeth to Lachish, and they send after him to Lachish, and put him to death there, and lift him up on the horses, and he is buried in Jerusalem with his fathers in the city of David. And all the people of Judah take Azariah, and he is a son of 16 years, and cause him to reign instead of his father Amaziah. He hath built Elath, and bringeth it back to Judah after the lying of the king with his fathers. In the 15th year of Amaziah son of Joash king of Judah, reigned hath Jeroboam son of Joash king of Israel in Samaria 41 years. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah. He hath not turned aside from all the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, that he caused Israel to sin. He hath brought back the border of Israel, from the entering in of Hamath unto the sea of the desert, according to the word of Jehovah, God of Israel, that he spake by the hand of his servant Jonah son of Amittai the prophet, who is of Gath-Hepher. For Jehovah hath seen the affliction of Israel, very bitter, and there is none restrained, and there is none left, and there is no helper to Israel. And Jehovah hath not spoken to blot out the name of Israel from under the heavens, and saveth them by the hand of Jeroboam son of Joash. And the rest of the matters of Jeroboam, and all that he did, and his might with which he fought, and with which he brought back Damascus and Hamath of Judah into Israel, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jeroboam lieth with his fathers, with the kings of Israel, and reign doth Zechariah his son in his stead. Chapter 15. In the 27th year of Jeroboam king of Israel, reigned hath Azariah son of Amaziah king of Judah. A son of 16 years was he in his reigning, and 52 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem, and the name of his mother is Jechaliah of Jerusalem. And he doth that which is right in the eyes of Jehovah, according to all that Amaziah his father did. Only the high places have not turned aside, yet are the people sacrificing and making perfume in high places. And Jehovah smiteth the king, and he is a leper unto the day of his death, and he dwelleth in a separate house, and Jotham son of the king is over the house, judging the people of the land. And the rest of the matters of Azariah, and all that he did, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Azariah lieth with his fathers, and they bury him with his fathers in the city of David, and reign doth Jotham his son in his stead. In the 38th year of Azariah king of Judah, reigned hath Zechariah son of Jeroboam over Israel in Samaria 6 months.
And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, as did his fathers. He hath not turned aside from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, that he caused Israel to sin. And Shallum son of Jabesh conspireth against him, and smiteth him before the people, and putteth him to death, and reigneth in his stead. And the rest of the matters of Zechariah, lo, they are written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel. It is the word of Jehovah that he spake unto Jehu, saying, Sons of the fourth generation do sit for thee on the throne of Israel. And it is so. Shallum son of Jabesh hath reigned in the 39th year of Uzziah king of Judah, and he reigneth a month of days in Samaria. And go up doth Menachem son of Gadi from Tirzah, and cometh into Samaria, and smiteth Shallum son of Jabesh in Samaria, and putteth him to death, and reigneth in his stead. And the rest of the matters of Shallum, and his conspiracy that he made, lo, they are written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel. Then doth Menachem smite Tiphsah, and all who are in it, and its borders from Tirzah, for it opened not to him, and he smiteth it, all its pregnant women he hath ripped up. In the 39th year of Azariah king of Judah reigned hath Menachem son of Gadi over Israel 10 years in Samaria. And he doth the evil in the eyes of Jehovah. He hath not turned aside from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, that he caused Israel to sin all his days. Pul king of Ashur hath come against the land, and Menachem giveth to Pul 1,000 talents of silver, for his hand being with him to strengthen the kingdom in his hand. And Menachem bringeth out the silver from Israel, from all the mighty men of wealth, to give to the king of Ashur, 50 shekels of silver for each one. And the king of Ashur turneth back, and hath not stayed there in the land. And the rest of the matters of Menachem, and all that he did, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Menachem lieth with his fathers, and reigned doth Pekahiah his son in his stead. In the 50th year of Azariah king of Judah hath Pekahiah son of Menachem reigned over Israel in Samaria 2 years. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah. He hath not turned aside from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, that he caused Israel to sin. And Pekah son of Remaliah his captain doth conspire against him, and smiteth him in Samaria, in the high place of the house of the king, with Argob and Areah, and with him 50 men of the sons of the Gileadites, and he putteth him to death, and reigneth in his stead. And the rest of the matters of Pekahiah, and all that he did, lo, they are written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the 52nd year of Azariah king of Judah reigned hath Pekah son of Remaliah over Israel in Samaria 20 years. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah. He hath not turned aside from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, that he caused Israel to sin. In the days of Pekah king of Israel hath Tiglath-Pileser king of Ashur come, and taketh Ijon, and Abel-Beth-Maacah, and Genoa, and Kedesh, and Hazor, and Gilead, and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and removeth them to Ashur. And make a conspiracy doth Hoshea son of Elah against Pekah son of Remaliah, and smiteth him, and putteth him to death, and reigneth in his stead, in the 20th year of Jotham son of Uzziah. And the rest of the matters of Pekah, and all that he did, lo, they are written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the 2nd year of Pekah son of Remaliah king of Israel reigned hath Jotham son of Uzziah king of Judah. A son of 25 years was he in his reigning, and 16 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother is Jerusha daughter of Zadok. And he doth that which is right in the eyes of Jehovah, according to all that Uzziah his father did, he hath done. Only the high places have not turned aside. Yet are the people sacrificing and making perfume in high places. He hath built the high gate of the house of Jehovah. And the rest of the matters of Jotham, and all that he did, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? In those days hath Jehovah begun to send against Judah Rezin king of Amram, and Pekah son of Remaliah. And Jotham lieth with his fathers, and is buried with his fathers in the city of David his father, and reign doth Ahaz his son in his stead. The end of chapters 11 through 15. Recording by Mark Penfold.
Chapters 16 through 20 of the second book of the Kings, from the Young's Literal Translation. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapter 16. In the 17th year of Pekah son of Remaliah, reigned hath Ahaz son of Jotham king of Judah. A son of 20 years is Ahaz in his reigning, and 16 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem, and he hath not done that which is right in the eyes of Jehovah his God, like David his father. And he walketh in the way of the kings of Israel, and also his son he hath caused to pass over into fire, according to the abominations of the nations that Jehovah dispossessed from the presence of the sons of Israel. And he sacrificeth and maketh perfume in high places, and on the heights, and under every green tree. Then doth Rezin king of Aram go up, and Pekah son of Remaliah king of Israel, to Jerusalem to battle. And they lay siege to Ahaz, and they have not been able to fight. At that time hath Rezin king of Aram brought back Elath to Aram, and casteth out the Jews from Elath, and the Arameans have come in to Elath, and dwell there unto this day. And Ahaz sendeth messengers unto Tiglath-Pileser king of Ashur, saying, Thy servant and thy son am I. Come up and save me out of the hand of the king of Aram, and out of the hand of the king of Israel, who are rising up against me. And Ahaz taketh the silver and the gold that is found in the house of Jehovah, and in the treasures of the house of the king, and sendeth to the king of Ashur a bribe. And hearken unto him doth the king of Ashur. And the king of Ashur goeth up unto Damascus, and seizeth it, and removeth the people of it to Kir, and Rezin he hath put to death. And King Ahaz goeth to meet Tiglath-Pileser king of Ashur at Damascus, and seeth the altar that is in Damascus. And King Ahaz sendeth unto Urijah the priest the likeness of the altar, and its pattern, according to all its work. And Urijah the priest buildeth the altar according to all that King Ahaz hath sent from Damascus. So did Urijah the priest till the coming in of King Ahaz from Damascus. And the king cometh in from Damascus, and the king seeth the altar, and the king draweth near on the altar, and offereth on it, and perfumeth his burnt offering and his present, and poureth out his libation, and sprinkleth the blood of the peace offerings that he hath on the altar. As to the altar of brass that is before Jehovah, he bringeth it near from the front of the house, from between the altar and the house of Jehovah, and putteth it on the side of the altar northward. And King Ahaz commandeth him, Urijah the priest, saying, On the great altar perfume the burnt offering of the morning, and the present of the evening, and the burnt offering of the king and his present, and the burnt offering of all the people of the land, and their present, and their libations, and all the blood of the burnt offering, and all the blood of the sacrifice. On it thou dost sprinkle, and the altar of brass is to me to inquire by. And Urijah the priest doth according to all that King Ahaz commanded. And King Ahaz cutteth off the borders of the bases, and turneth aside from off them the laver, and the sea he hath taken down from off the brazen oxen that are under it, and putteth it on a pavement of stones. And the covered place for the Sabbath that they built in the house, and the entrance of the king without, he turned from the house of Jehovah, because of the king of Ashur. And the rest of the matters of Ahaz that he did, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Ahaz lieth with his fathers, and is buried with his fathers in the city of David, and reign doth Hezekiah his son in his stead. Chapter 17. In the 12th year of Ahaz king of Judah, reigned hath Hoshea son of Elah in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, only not as the kings of Israel who were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser king of Ashur, and Hoshea is to him a servant, and doth render to him a present. And the king of Ashur findeth in Hoshea a conspiracy, in that he hath sent messengers unto So king of Egypt, and hath not caused a present to go up to the king of Ashur, as year by year. And the king of Ashur restraineth him, and bindeth him in a house of restraint. And the king of Ashur goeth up into all the land, and he goeth up to Samaria, and layeth siege against it 3 years.
In the 9th year of Hoshea hath the king of Ashur captured Samaria, and removeth Israel to Ashur, and causeth them to dwell in Halah, and in Habor by the river Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. And it cometh to pass, because the sons of Israel have sinned against Jehovah their God, who bringeth them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt, and fear other gods, and walk in the statutes of the nations that Jehovah dispossessed from the presence of the sons of Israel, and of the kings of Israel that they made. And the sons of Israel do covertly things that are not right against Jehovah their God, and build for them high places in all their cities, from a tower of the watchers unto the fenced city, and set up for them standing pillars and shrines on every high height, and under every green tree, and make perfume there in all high places, like the nations that Jehovah removed from their presence, and do evil things to provoke Jehovah, and serve the idols, of which Jehovah said to them, Ye do not do this thing. And Jehovah testifieth against Israel and against Judah by the hand of every prophet and every seer, saying, Turn back from your evil ways, and keep my commands, my statutes, according to all the law that I commanded your fathers, and that I sent unto you by the hand of my servants the prophets. And they have not hearkened, and hardened their neck like the neck of their fathers, who did not remain steadfast in Jehovah their God, and reject his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies that he testified against them, and go after the vain thing, and become vain, and after the nations that are round about them, of whom Jehovah commanded them not to do like them. And they forsake all the commands of Jehovah their God, and make to them a molten image, 2 calves, and make a shrine, and bow themselves to all the host of the heavens, and serve Baal, and cause their sons and their daughters to pass over through fire, and divine divinations, and use enchantments, and sell themselves to do the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, to provoke him. That Jehovah showeth himself very angry against Israel, and turneth them aside from his presence. None hath been left, only the tribe of Judah by itself. Also Judah hath not kept the commands of Jehovah their God, and they walk in the statutes of Israel that they had made. And Jehovah kicketh against all the seed of Israel, and afflicteth them, and giveth them into the hand of spoilers, till that he hath cast them out of his presence. For he hath rent Israel from the house of David, and they make Jeroboam son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam driveth Israel from after Jehovah, and hath caused them to sin a great sin. And the sons of Israel walk in all the sins of Jeroboam that he did. They have not turned aside therefrom, till that Jehovah hath turned Israel aside from his presence, as he spake by the hand of all his servants the prophets. And Israel is removed from off its land to Ashur unto this day. And the king of Ashur bringeth in from Babylon, and from Cutha, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and Sepharvaim, and causeth them to dwell in the cities of Samaria instead of the sons of Israel, and they possess Samaria, and dwell in its cities. And it cometh to pass, at the commencement of their dwelling there, they have not feared Jehovah, and Jehovah doth send among them the lions, and they are destroying among them. And they speak to the king of Ashur, saying, The nations that thou hast removed, and dost place in the cities of Samaria, have not known the custom of the God of the land. And he sendeth among them the lions, and lo, they are destroying them, as they do not know the custom of the God of the land. And the king of Ashur commandeth, saying, Cause to go thither one of the priests whom ye removed thence, and they go and dwell there, and he doth teach them the custom of the God of the land. And one of the priests whom they removed from Samaria cometh in, and dwelleth in Bethel, and he is teaching them how they do fear Jehovah. And they are making each nation its gods, and place them in the houses of the high places that the Samaritans have made, each nation in their cities where they are dwelling. And the men of Babylon have made Succoth-Benoth, and the men of Cuth have made Nergal, and the men of Hamath have made Ashima, and the Avites have made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sepharvites are burning their sons with fire to Adramelech and Anamelech, gods of Sepharvaim. And they are fearing Jehovah, and make to themselves from their extremities priests of high places, and they are acting for them in the house of the high places. Jehovah they are fearing, and their gods they are serving, according to the custom of the nations whence they removed them. Unto this day they are doing according to the former customs. They are not fearing Jehovah, and are not doing according to their statutes, and according to their ordinances, and according to the law, and according to the command that Jehovah commanded the sons of Jacob, whose name he made Israel. And Jehovah maketh with them a covenant, and chargeth them, saying, Ye do not fear other gods, nor bow yourselves to them, nor serve them, nor sacrifice to them. But Jehovah, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a stretched out arm, him ye do fear, and to him ye bow yourselves, and to him ye do sacrifice. And the statutes and the judgments and the law and the command that he wrote for you, ye observe to do all the days, and ye do not fear other gods. And the covenant that I have made with you ye do not forget, and ye do not fear other gods. But Jehovah your God ye do fear, and he doth deliver you out of the hand of all your enemies. And they have not hearkened, but according to their former custom they are doing. And these nations are fearing Jehovah, and their graven images they have served, both their sons and their sons' sons, as their fathers did, they are doing unto this day. Chapter 18. And it cometh to pass, in the 3rd year of Hoshea son of Elah king of Israel, reigned hath Hezekiah son of Ahaz king of Judah. A son of 25 years was he in his reigning, and 29 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem, and the name of his mother is Abi, daughter of Zechariah. And he doth that which is right in the eyes of Jehovah, according to all that David his father did. He hath turned aside the high places, and broken in pieces the standing pillars, and cut down the shrine, and beaten down the brazen serpent that Moses made. For unto these days were the sons of Israel making perfume to it, and he calleth it a piece of brass. In Jehovah God of Israel he hath trusted, and after him there hath not been like him among all the kings of Judah, nor among any who were before him. And he cleaveth to Jehovah, he hath not turned aside from after him, and keepeth his commands that Jehovah commanded Moses. And Jehovah hath been with him. In every place where he goeth out he acteth wisely, and he rebelleth against the king of Ashur, and hath not served him. He hath smitten the Philistines unto Gaza and its border, from a tower of watchers unto the fenced city. And it cometh to pass, in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, it is the 7th year of Hoshea son of Elah king of Israel, come up hath Shalmaneser king of Ashur against Samaria, and layeth siege to it. And they capture it at the end of 3 years. In the 6th year of Hezekiah, it is the 9th year of Hoshea king of Israel, hath Samaria been captureth. And the king of Ashur removeth Israel to Ashur, and placed them in Halah, and in Habor by the river Gozan, and in cities of the Medes, because that they have not hearkened to the voice of Jehovah their God, and transgress his covenant, all that he commanded Moses, servant of Jehovah. Yea, they have not hearkened nor done it. And in the 14th year of King Hezekiah hath Sennacherib king of Ashur come up against all the fenced cities of Judah, and seizeth them. And Hezekiah king of Judah sendeth unto the king of Ashur to Lachish, saying, I have sinned. Turn back from off me. That which thou puttest on me I bear. And the king of Ashur layeth on Hezekiah king of Judah 300 talents of silver, and 30 talents of gold. And Hezekiah giveth all the silver that is found in the house of Jehovah, and in the treasures of the house of the king. At that time hath Hezekiah cut off the doors of the temple of Jehovah, and the pillars that Hezekiah king of Judah had overlaid, and giveth them to the king of Ashur. And the king of Ashur sendeth Tartan, and the chief of the eunuchs, and the chief of the butlers, from Lachish unto king Hezekiah with a heavy force to Jerusalem. And they go up and come in to Jerusalem, and they go up and come in, and stand by the conduit of the upper pool that is in the highway of the fuller's field. And they call unto the king, and go out unto them doth Eliakim son of Hilkiah, who is over the house, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah son of Asaph the remembrancer. And the chief of the butlers saith unto them,
Say, I pray you, unto Hezekiah, Thus said the great king, the king of Ashur, What is this confidence in which thou hast confided? Thou hast said, Only a word of the lips. Counsel and might are for battle. Now, on whom hast thou trusted, that thou hast rebelled against me? Now, lo, thou hast trusted for thee on the staff of this broken reed, on Egypt, which a man leaneth on, and it hath gone into his hand, and pierced it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all those trusting on him. And when ye say unto me, Unto Jehovah our God we have trusted, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah hath turned aside, and saith to Judah and to Jerusalem, Before this altar do ye bow yourselves in Jerusalem? And now give a pledge for thee, I pray thee, to my lord the king of Ashur, and I give to thee 2,000 horses, if thou art able to give for thee riders on them. And how dost thou turn back the face of one captain of the least of the servants of my lord, that thou dost trust for thee on Egypt for chariot and for horsemen? No, without Jehovah have I come up against this place to destroy it? Jehovah said unto me, Go up against this land, and thou hast destroyed it. And Eliakim son of Hilkiah saith, and Shebna and Joah, to the chief of the butlers, Speak, we pray thee, unto thy servants in Aramean, for we are understanding, and do not speak with us in Jewish, in the ears of the people who are on the wall. And the chief of the butlers saith unto them, For thy lord, and unto thee hath my lord sent me to speak these words? Is it not for the men, those sitting on the wall, to eat their own dung, and to drink their own water with you?
And the chief of the butlers standeth and calleth with a great voice in Jewish, and speaketh and saith, Hear ye a word of the great king, the king of Ashur. Thus said the king, Let not Hezekiah lift you up, for he is not able to deliver you out of his hand. And let not Hezekiah make you trust unto Jehovah, saying, Jehovah doth certainly deliver us, and this city is not given into the hand of the king of Ashur. Do not hearken unto Hezekiah, for thus said the king of Ashur, Make with me a blessing, and come out unto me, and eat ye each of his vine, and each of his fig tree, and drink ye each the waters of his own well, till my coming in. And I have taken you unto a land like your own land, a land of corn and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of oil olive and honey, and live and die not. And do not hearken unto Hezekiah when he persuadeth you, saying, Jehovah doth deliver us. Have the gods of the nations delivered at all each his land out of the hand of the king of Ashur? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim, Hena, and Eva, that they have delivered Samaria out of my hand? Who are they among all the gods of the lands that have delivered their land out of my hand, that Jehovah doth deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? And the people have kept silent, and have not answered him a word. For the command of the king is, saying, Do not answer him. And Eliakim son of Hilkiah, who is over the house, cometh in, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah son of Asaph the remembrancer, unto Hezekiah, with rent garments, and they declare to him the words of the chief of the butlers. Chapter 19. And it cometh to pass, at King Hezekiah's hearing, that he rendeth his garments, and covereth himself with sackcloth, and entereth the house of Jehovah, and sendeth Eliakim, who is over the house, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covering themselves with sackcloth, unto Isaiah the prophet, son of Amoz. And they say unto him, Thus said Hezekiah, A day of distress and rebuke and despising is this day. For come have sons unto the birth, and power there is not to bring forth. It may be Jehovah thy God doth hear all the words of the chief of the butlers, with which the king of Ashur his lord hath sent him to reproach the living God, and hath decided concerning the words that Jehovah thy God hath heard. And thou hast lifted up prayer for the remnant that is found. And the servants of King Hezekiah come in unto Isaiah, and Isaiah saith to them, Thus do ye say unto your Lord, Thus said Jehovah, Be not afraid because of the words that thou hast heard, with which the servants of the king of Ashur have reviled me. Lo, I am giving in him a spirit, and he hath heard a report, and hath turned back to his land, and I have caused him to fall by the sword in his land. And the chief of the butlers turneth back, and findeth the king of Ashur fighting against Libnah, for he hath heard that he hath journeyed from Lachish. And he heareth concerning Tirhakah king of Cush, saying, Lo, he hath come out to fight with thee. And he turneth and sendeth messengers unto Hezekiah, saying, Thus do ye speak unto Hezekiah king of Judah, saying, Let not thy God lift thee up in whom thou art trusting, saying, Jerusalem is not given into the hand of the king of Ashur. Lo, thou hast heard that which the kings of Ashur have done to all the lands, to devote them, and thou art delivered. Did the gods of the nations deliver them whom my fathers destroyed? Gozan and Haran and Rezeph, and the sons of Eden who are in Thalasar? Where is the king of Hamath, and the king of Arpad, and the king of the city of Sepharvaim, Hena, and Eva? And Hezekiah taketh the letters out of the hand of the messengers, and readeth them, and goeth up to the house of Jehovah, and Hezekiah spreadeth it before Jehovah. And Hezekiah prayeth before Jehovah, and saith, O Jehovah, God of Israel, inhabiting the cherubs, thou art God himself, thyself alone, to all the kingdoms of the earth. Thou hast made the heavens and the earth. Incline, O Jehovah, thine ear, and hear. Open, O Jehovah, thine eyes, and see, and hear thou the words of Sennacherib, with which he hath sent him to reproach the living God. Truly, O Jehovah, kings of Ashur have laid waste the nations and their land, and have put their gods into fire. For they are no gods, but work of the hands of man, wood and stone, and destroy them. And now, O Jehovah our God, save us, we pray thee, out of his hand, and know do all kingdoms of the earth that thou art Jehovah God, thyself alone. And Isaiah son of Amoz sendeth unto Hezekiah, saying, Thus said Jehovah, God of Israel, That which thou hast prayed unto me concerning Sennacherib king of Ashur, I have heard. This is the word that Jehovah spake concerning him. Trampled on thee, laughed at thee, hath the virgin daughter of Zion behind thee shaken the head, hath the daughter of Jerusalem? Whom hast thou reproached and reviled, and against whom lifted up a voice? Yea, thou dost lift up on high thine eyes against the Holy One of Israel. By the hand of thy messengers thou hast reproached the Lord, and sayest, In the multitude of my chariots I have come up to a high place of mountains, the sides of Lebanon, and I cut down the height of its cedars, the choice of its firs, and I enter the lodging of its extremity, the forest of its Carmel. I have digged and drunk strange waters, and I dry up with the sole of my steps all floods of a bulwark. Hast thou not heard from afar? It I made, from days of old that I formed it. Now I have brought it in, and it becometh a desolation. Ruinous heaps are fenced cities, and their inhabitants are feeble-handed. They were broken down, and are dried up. They have been the herb of the field, and the greenness of the tender grass, grass of the roofs, and blasted corn, before it hath risen up. And thy sitting down, and thy going out, and thy coming in I have known, and thine anger towards me. Because of thine anger towards me, and thy noise, it came up into mine ears. I have put my hook in thy nose, and my bridle in thy lips, and have caused thee to turn back in the way in which thou camest. And this to thee is the sign. Food of the year is the spontaneous growth, and in the second year the self-produced, and in the third year sow ye, and reap, and plant vineyards, and eat their fruits. And it hath continued, the escaped of the house of Judah that hath been left, to take root beneath, and hath made fruit upward. For from Jerusalem goeth out a remnant, and an escape from Mount Zion. The zeal of Jehovah of hosts doth this. Therefore thus said Jehovah concerning the king of Ashur, He doth not come in unto this city, nor doth he shoot there an arrow, nor doth he come before it with shield, nor doth he pour out against it a mount. In the way that he cometh in it he turneth back, and unto this city he doth not come in, the affirmation of Jehovah. And I have covered over this city to save it for mine own sake, and for the sake of David my servant. And it cometh to pass in that night, that a messenger of Jehovah goeth out, and smiteth in the camp of Ashur 185,000. And they rise early in the morning, and lo, all of them are dead corpses. And Sennacherib king of Ashur journeyeth, and goeth, and turneth back, and dwelleth in Nineveh. And it cometh to pass, he is bowing himself in the house of Nisroch his god, and Adramelech and Sharezer his sons have smitten him with the sword, and they have escaped to the land of Ararat, and Esarhaddon his son reigneth in his stead. Chapter 20. In those days hath Hezekiah been sick unto death, and come unto him doth Isaiah son of Amoz the prophet, and saith unto him, Thus said Jehovah, Give a charge to thy house, for thou art dying, and dost not live. And he turneth round his face unto the wall, and prayeth unto Jehovah, saying, I pray thee, O Jehovah, remember, I pray thee, how I have walked habitually before thee in truth, and with a perfect heart, and that which is good in thine eyes I have done. And Hezekiah weepeth, a great weeping. And it cometh to pass, Isaiah hath not gone out to the middle court, that the word of Jehovah hath been unto him, saying, Turn back, and thou hast said unto Hezekiah, leader of my people, Thus said Jehovah, God of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tear. Lo, I give healing to thee. On the third day thou dost go up to the house of Jehovah, and I have added to thy days 15 years, and out of the hand of the king of Ashur I deliver thee and this city, and have covered over this city for mine own sake, and for the sake of David my servant. And Isaiah saith, Take ye a cake of figs. And they take and lay it on the boil, and he reviveth. And Hezekiah saith unto Isaiah, What is the sign that Jehovah doth give healing to me, that I have gone up on the third day to the house of Jehovah? And Isaiah saith, This is to thee the sign from Jehovah, that Jehovah doth the thing that he hath spoken. The shadow hath gone on 10 degrees, or it doth turn back 10 degrees. And Hezekiah saith, It hath been light for the shadow to incline 10 degrees. Nay, but let the shadow turn backward 10 degrees. And Isaiah the prophet calleth unto Jehovah, and he bringeth back the shadow by the degrees that it had gone down in the degrees of Ahaz, backward 10 degrees. At that time hath Berodach Baladan, son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present unto Hezekiah, for he heard that Hezekiah had been sick. And Hezekiah hearkeneth unto them, and showeth them all the house of his treasury, the silver, and the gold, and the spices, and the good ointment, and all the house of his vessels, and all that hath been found in his treasuries. There hath not been a thing that Hezekiah hath not showed them in his house and in all his dominion. And Isaiah the prophet cometh in unto King Hezekiah, and saith unto him, What said these men? And whence come they unto thee? And Hezekiah saith, From a land afar off they have come, from Babylon. And he saith, What saw they in thy house? And Hezekiah saith, All that is in my house they saw. There hath not been a thing that I have not showed them among my treasures. And Isaiah saith unto Hezekiah, Hear a word of Jehovah. Lo, days are coming, and born hath been all that is in thy house, and that thy father have treasured up till this day, to Babylon. There is not left a thing, said Jehovah. And of thy sons who go out from thee, whom thou begettest, they take away, and they have been eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. And Hezekiah saith unto Isaiah, Good is the word of Jehovah that thou hast spoken. And he saith, Is it not, if peace and truth are in my days? And the rest of the matters of Hezekiah, and all his might, and how he made the pool, and the conduit, and bringeth in the waters to the city, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Hezekiah lieth with his fathers, and reign doth Manasseh his son in his stead. The end of chapters 16 through 20. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapters 21 through 25 of the second book of the Kings, from the Young's literal translation. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapter 21. A son of 12 years is Manasseh in his reigning, and 55 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem, and the name of his mother is Hephzibah. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, according to the abominations of the nations that Jehovah dispossessed from the presence of the sons of Israel. And he turneth and buildeth the high places that Hezekiah his father destroyed, and raiseth altars for Baal, and maketh a shrine, as did Ahab king of Israel, and boweth himself to all the host of the heavens, and serveth them. And he hath built altars in the house of Jehovah, of which Jehovah said, In Jerusalem I put my name. And he buildeth altars to all the host of the heavens in the two courts of the house of Jehovah. And he hath caused his son to pass through fire, and observed clouds, and used enchantment, and dealt with a familiar spirit and wizards. He hath multiplied to do the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, to provoke to anger. And he setteth the graven image of the shrine that he made in the house of which Jehovah said unto David and unto Solomon his son, In this house and in Jerusalem that I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I put my name to the age, and I do not add to cause the foot of Israel to move from the ground that I gave to their fathers, only if they observe to do according to all that I commanded them, and to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them. And they have not hearkened, and Manasseh causeth them to err, to do the evil thing above the nations that Jehovah destroyed from the presence of the sons of Israel. And Jehovah speaketh by the hand of his servants the prophets, saying, Because that Manasseh king of Judah hath done these abominations, he hath done evil above all that the Amorites have done who are before him, and causeth also Judah to sin by his idols. Therefore, thus said Jehovah, God of Israel, Lo, I am bringing in evil on Jerusalem and Judah, that whoever heareth of it, tingle do his 2 ears. And I have stretched out over Jerusalem the line of Samaria, and the plummet of the house of Ahab, and wiped Jerusalem as one wipeth the dish. He hath wiped, and hath turned it on its face. And I have left the remnant of mine inheritance, and given them into the hand of their enemies, and they have been for a prey and for a spoil to all their enemies, because that they have done the evil thing in mine eyes, and are provoking me to anger from the day that their fathers came out of Egypt, even unto this day. And also innocent blood hath Manasseh shed very much, till that he hath filled Jerusalem, mouth to mouth, apart from his sin that he hath caused Judah to sin, to do the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah. And the rest of the matters of Manasseh, and all that he did, and his sin that he sinned, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Manasseh lieth with his fathers, and is buried in the garden of his house, in the garden of Uzzah, and reign doth Amon his son in his stead. A son of 22 years is Amon in his reigning, and 2 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem, and the name of his mother is Meshullemeth, daughter of Haruz of Jotbah. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, as did Manasseh his father, and walketh in all the way that his father walked in, and serveth the idols that his father served, and boweth himself to them, and forsaken Jehovah, God of his fathers, and hath not walked in the way of Jehovah. And the servants of Amon conspire against him, and put the king to death in his own house. And the people of the land smite all those conspiring against King Amon, and the people of the land caused Josiah his son to reign in his stead. And the rest of the matters of Amon that he did, are they not written on the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And one burieth him in his burying place in the garden of Uzzah, and reign doth Josiah his son in his stead. Chapter 22. A son of 8 years is Josiah in his reigning, and 31 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother is Jedidah, daughter of Adaiah of Boskath. And he doth that which is right in the eyes of Jehovah, and walketh in all the way of David his father, and hath not turned aside, right or left. And it cometh to pass in the 18th year of King Josiah, the king hath sent Shaphan, son of Azaliah, son of Meshullam, the scribe, to the house of Jehovah, saying, Go up unto Hilkiah the high priest, and he doth complete the silver that is brought into the house of Jehovah, that the keepers of the threshold have gathered from the people. And they give it into the hand of the doers of the work, the overseers in the house of Jehovah, and they give it to the doers of the work that is in the house of Jehovah, to strengthen the breach of the house, to artificers, and to builders, and to repairers of the wall, and to buy wood and hewn stones to strengthen the house. Only the silver that is given into their hand is not reckoned with them, for in faithfulness they are dealing. And Hilkiah the high priest saith unto Shaphan the scribe, A book of the law I have found in the house of Jehovah. And Hilkiah giveth the book unto Shaphan, and he readeth it. And Shaphan the scribe cometh in unto the king, and bringeth the king back word, and saith, Thy servants have poured out the silver that hath been found in the house, and give it into the hand of the doers of the work, the inspectors in the house of Jehovah. And Shaphan the scribe declareth to the king, saying, A book hath Hilkiah the priest given to me. And Shaphan readeth it before the king. And it cometh to pass, at the king's hearing the words of the book of the law, that he rendeth his garments. And the king commandeth Hilkiah the priest, and Ahikam son of Shaphan, and Achbor son of Micaiah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Asahiah servant of the king, saying, Go, seek Jehovah for me, and for the people, and for all Judah, concerning the words of this book that is found. For great is the fury of Jehovah that is kindled against us, because that our fathers have not hearkened unto the words of this book, to do according to all that is written for us. And Hilkiah the priest goeth, and Ahikam, and Achbor, and Shaphan, and Asahiah, unto Huldah the prophetess, wife of Shallum, son of Tikvah, son of Harhas, keeper of the garments. And she is dwelling in Jerusalem in the 2nd, and they speak unto her. And she saith unto them, Thus said Jehovah, God of Israel, Say to the man who hath sent you unto me, Thus said Jehovah, Lo, I am bringing in evil unto this place and on its inhabitants all the words of the book that the king of Judah hath read, because that they have forsaken me, and make perfume to other gods, so as to provoke me to anger with every work of their hands. And my wrath hath been kindled against this place, and it is not quenched. And unto the king of Judah, who is sending you to seek Jehovah, thus do ye say unto him, Thus said Jehovah, God of Israel, the words that thou hast heard. Because thy heart is tender, and thou art humbled because of Jehovah, in thy hearing that which I have spoken against this place and against its inhabitants, to be for a desolation and for a reviling, and dost rend thy garments and weep before me, I also have heard the affirmation of Jehovah. Therefore, lo, I am gathering thee unto thy fathers, and thou hast been gathered unto thy grave in peace, and thine eyes do not look on any of the evil that I am bringing in on this place. And they bring the king back word. Chapter 23. And the king sendeth, and they gather unto him all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. And the king goeth up to the house of Jehovah, and every man of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests, and the prophets, and all the people, from small unto great. And he readeth in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant that is found in the house of Jehovah. And the king standeth by the pillar, and maketh the covenant before Jehovah, to walk after Jehovah, and to keep his commands, and his testimonies, and his statutes, with all the heart, and with all the soul, to establish the words of this covenant that are written on this book. And all the people stand in the covenant. And the king commandeth Hilkiah the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the threshold, to bring out from the temple of Jehovah all the vessels that are made for Baal, and for the shrine, and for all the host of the heavens. And he burneth them at the outside of Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and hath borne their ashes to Bethel. And he hath caused to cease the idolatrous priests whom the kings of Judah have appointed, and they make perfume in high places, in cities of Judah and suburbs of Jerusalem, and those making perfume to Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the host of the heavens. And he bringeth out the shrine from the house of Jehovah to the outside of Jerusalem, unto the brook Kidron, and burneth it at the brook Kidron, and beateth it small to dust, and casteth its dust on the grave of the sons of the people. And he breaketh down the houses of the whoremongers that are in the house of Jehovah, where the women are weaving houses for the shrine. And he bringeth in all the priests out of the cities of Judah, and defileth the high places where the priests have made perfume, from Geba unto Beersheba, and hath broken down the high places of the gates that are at the opening of the gate of Joshua, head of the city, that is on a man's left hand at the gate of the city. Only the priests of the high places come not up unto the altar of Jehovah in Jerusalem, but they have eaten unleavened things in the midst of their brethren. And he hath defiled Topheth, that is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, so that no man doth cause his son and his daughter to pass over through fire to Molech. And he causeth to cease the horses that the kings of Judah have given to the sun from the entering in of the house of Jehovah by the chamber of Nathan-melech the eunuch that is in the suburbs, and the chariots of the sun he hath burnt with fire. And the altars that are on the top of the upper chamber of Ahaz, that the kings of Judah made, and the altars that Manasseh made in the 2 courts of the house of Jehovah, hath the king broken down, and removeth thence, and hath cast their dust unto the brook Kidron. And the high places that are on the front of Jerusalem, that are on the right of the mount of corruption, that Solomon king of Israel had built to Ashtoreth, abomination of the Sidonians, and Chemosh, abomination of Moab, and to Milcom, abomination of the sons of Ammon, hath the king defiled. And he hath broken in pieces the standing pillars, and cutteth down the shrines, and filleth their place with bones of men. And also the altar that is in Bethel, the high place that Jeroboam son of Nebat made, by which he made Israel sin, both that altar and the high place he hath broken down, and doth burn the high place. He hath beat it small to dust, and hath burnt the shrine. And Josiah turneth, and seeth the graves that are there in the mount, and sendeth and taketh the bones out of the graves, and burneth them on the altar, and defileth it, according to the word of Jehovah that the man of God proclaimed, who proclaimed these things. And he saith, What is this sign that I see? And the men of the city say unto him, The grave of the man of God who hath come from Judah, and proclaimeth these things that thou hast done concerning the altar of Bethel. And he saith, Let him alone, let no man touch his bones. And they let his bones escape with the bones of the prophet who came out of Samaria. And also the houses of the high places that are in the cities of Samaria, that the kings of Israel made to provoke to anger, hath Josiah turned aside, and doth to them according to all the deeds that he did in Bethel. And he slayeth all the priests of the high places who are there by the altars, and burneth the bones of man upon them, and turneth back to Jerusalem. And the king commandeth the whole of the people, saying, Make ye a Passover to Jehovah your God, as it is written on this book of the covenant. Surely there hath not been made like this Passover from the days of the judges who judged Israel, even all the days of the kings of Israel and of the kings of Judah. But in the 18th year of King Josiah hath this Passover been made to Jehovah in Jerusalem. And also those having familiar spirits, and the wizards, and the teraphim, and the idols, and all the abominations that were seen in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem hath Josiah put away, in order to establish the words of the law that are written on the book that Hilkiah the priest hath found in the house of Jehovah. And like him, there hath not been before him a king who turned back unto Jehovah with all his heart, and with all his soul, and with all his might, according to all the law of Moses, and after him there hath none risen like him. Only Jehovah hath not turned back from the fierceness of his great anger with which his anger burned against Judah, because of all the provocations with which Manasseh provoked him. And Jehovah saith, Also Judah I turn aside from my presence, as I turned Israel aside, and I have rejected this city that I have chosen, Jerusalem, and the house of which I said, My name is there. And the rest of the matters of Josiah, and all that he did, are they not written on the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In his days hath Pharaoh Necho king of Egypt come up against the king of Ashur by the river Phrate, and he putteth him to death in Megiddo, when he seeth him. And his servants cause him to ride dying from Megiddo, and bring him into Jerusalem, and bury him in his own grave. And the people of the land take Jehoahaz son of Josiah, and anoint him, and cause him to reign instead of his father. A son of 23 years is Jehoahaz in his reigning, and 3 months he hath reigned in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother is Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, according to all that his fathers did. And Pharaoh Necho bindeth him in Riblah, in the land of Hamath, from reigning in Jerusalem. And he putteth a fine on the land, 100 talents of silver, and a talent of gold. And Pharaoh Necho causeth Eliakim son of Josiah to reign instead of Josiah his father, and turneth his name to Jehoiakim. And Jehoahaz he hath taken away, and he cometh into Egypt, and dieth there. And the silver and the gold hath Jehoiakim given to Pharaoh. Only he valued the land to give the silver by the command of Pharaoh. From each according to his valuation, he exacted the silver and the gold from the people of the land to give to Pharaoh Necho. A son of 25 years is Jehoiakim in his reigning, and 11 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother is Zebudah, daughter of Pedaiah of Rumah. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, according to all that his fathers did. Chapter 24. In his days hath Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon come up, and Jehoiakim is to him a servant 3 years, and he turneth and rebelleth against him. And Jehovah sendeth against him the troops of the Chaldeans, and the troops of Aram, and the troops of Moab, and the troops of the sons of Ammon. And he sendeth them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of Jehovah that he spake by the hand of his servants the prophets. Only by the command of Jehovah it hath been against Judah to turn them aside from his presence for the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did, and also the innocent blood that he hath shed. And he filleth Jerusalem with innocent blood, and Jehovah was not willing to forgive. And the rest of the matters of Jehoiakim, and all that he did, are they not written on the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Jehoiakim lieth with his fathers, and Jehoiachin his son reigneth in his stead. And the king of Egypt hath not added any more to go out from his own land, for the king of Babylon hath taken, from the brook of Egypt unto the river Phrate, all that had been to the king of Egypt. A son of 18 years is Jehoiachin in his reigning, and 3 months he hath reigned in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother is Nehushta, daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, according to all that his fathers did. At that time come up have servants of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon to Jerusalem, and the city goeth into siege. And Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon cometh against the city, and his servants are laying siege to it. And Jehoiachin king of Judah goeth out unto the king of Babylon, he, and his mother, and his servants, and his chiefs, and his eunuchs, And the king of Babylon taketh him in the 8th year of his reign, and bringeth out thence all the treasures of the house of Jehovah, and the treasures of the house of the king, and cutteth in pieces all the vessels of gold that Solomon king of Israel made in the temple of Jehovah, as Jehovah had spoken. And he hath removed all Jerusalem, and all the chiefs, and all the mighty ones of valor. 10,000 is the removal. And every artificer and smith, none hath been left save the poor of the people of the land. And he removeth Jehoiakim to Babylon, and the mother of the king, and the wives of the king, and his eunuchs, and the mighty ones of the land. He hath caused a removal to go from Jerusalem to Babylon. And all the men of valor 7,000, and the artificers and the smiths 1,000. The whole are mighty men, warriors. And the king of Babylon bringeth them in a captivity to Babylon. And the king of Babylon causeth Mattaniah his father's brother to reign in his stead, and turneth his name to Zedekiah. A son of 21 years is Zedekiah in his reigning, and 11 years he hath reigned in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother is Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he doth the evil thing in the eyes of Jehovah, according to all that Jehoiakim did. For by the anger of Jehovah it hath been against Jerusalem and against Judah, till he cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah rebelleth against the king of Babylon. Chapter 25. And it cometh to pass, in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th of the month, come hath Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, he and all his force, against Jerusalem, and encampeth against it, and buildeth against it a fortification round about. And the city entereth into siege till the 11th year of King Zedekiah, on the 9th of the month, when the famine is severe in the city, and there hath not been bread for the people of the land. Then the city is broken up, and all the men of war go by night the way of the gate between the 2 walls that are by the garden of the king. And the Chaldeans are against the city round about, and the king goeth the way of the plain. And the force of the Chaldeans pursue after the king, and overtake him in the plains of Jericho, and all his force hath been scattered from him. And they seize the king, and bring him up unto the king of Babylon, to Riblah, and they speak with him judgment. And the sons of Zedekiah they have slaughtered before his eyes, and the eyes of Zedekiah he hath blinded, and bindeth him with brazen fetters, and they bring him to Babylon. And in the 5th month, on the 7th of the month, it is the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, hath Nebuzaradan, chief of the executioners, servant of the king of Babylon, come to Jerusalem. And he burneth the house of Jehovah, and the house of the king, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Yea, every great house he hath burned with fire, and the walls of Jerusalem round about have all the forces of the Chaldeans, who are with the chief of the executioners, broken down. And the rest of the people, those left in the city, and those falling who have fallen to the king of Babylon, and the rest of the multitude hath Nebuzaradan, chief of the executioners, removed. And of the poor of the land hath the chief of the executioners left for vine dressers and for husbandmen. And the pillars of brass that are in the house of Jehovah, and the bases and the sea of brass that is in the house of Jehovah, have the Chaldeans broken in pieces, and bear away their brass to Babylon. And the pots, and the shovels, and the snuffers, and the spoons, and all the vessels of brass with which they minister, they have taken. And the firepans, and the bowls that are wholly of silver, hath the chief of the executioners taken. The 2 pillars, the 1 sea, and the bases that Solomon made for the house of Jehovah, there was no weighing of the brass of all these vessels. 18 cubits is the height of the 1 pillar, and the chapiter on it is of brass. And the height of the chapiter is 3 cubits, and the net and the pomegranates are on the chapiter round about. The whole is of brass. And like these hath the 2nd pillar with the net. And the chief of the executioners taketh Seraiah the head priest, and Zephaniah the 2nd priest, and the 3 keepers of the threshold. And out of the city he hath taken a certain eunuch who is appointed over the men of war, and 5 men of those seeing the king's face who have been found in the city, and the head scribe of the host, who mustereth the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land who are found in the city. And Nebuzaradan, chief of the executioners, taketh them, and causeth them to go unto the king of Babylon, to Libnah. And the king of Babylon smiteth them, and putteth them to death in Riblah, in the land of Hamath, and he removeth Judah from off its land. And the people that is left in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon hath left, he appointeth over them Gedaliah son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan. And all the heads of the forces hear, they and the men, that the king of Babylon hath appointed Gedaliah, and they come in unto Gedaliah to Mizpah, even Ishmael son of Nethaniah, and Johanan son of Kareah, and Seraiah son of Tanhumeth the Netophathite, and Jaazaniah son of the Maacathite, they and their men. And Gedaliah sweareth to them and to their men, and saith to them,
Be not afraid of the servants of the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land, and serve the king of Babylon, and it is good for you.
And it cometh to pass in the 7th month, come hath Ishmael son of Nethaniah, son of Elishama of the seed of the kingdom, and 10 men with him, and they smite Gedaliah, and he dieth, and the Jews and the Chaldeans who have been with him in Mizpah. And all the people rise, from small even unto great, and the heads of the forces, and come into Egypt, for they have been afraid of the presence of the Chaldeans. And it cometh to pass, in the 37th year of the removal of Jehoiakim king of Judah, in the 12th month, in the 27th of the month, hath Evel-merodach king of Babylon lifted up, in the year of his reigning, the head of Jehoiakim king of Judah out of the house of restraint, and speaketh with him good things, and putteth his throne above the throne of the kings who are with him in Babylon, and hath changed the garments of his restraint, and he hath eaten bread continually before him all days of his life. And his allowance, a continual allowance, hath been given to him from the king, the matter of a day in its day, all days of his life. The end of the 2nd book of the Kings. Recording by Mark Penfold.